Hello, my name's Rebecca McLaughlin. I'm a physiotherapist at the Red Cell Pain Management Team, which is part of St George's Hospital. This is a short video that's designed to give you some ideas of some movements that you could do on a day where you mainly need to be in bed. If you're having a really difficult day and you do need to spend a lot of the day in bed, it will be particularly important that you remember ideas of pacing and doing small amounts of movement, little and often through your day. If you've been working with our team, these ideas will probably be very familiar to you. It's really about remembering to move to the point that feels helpful today, even if that means your movements are much smaller than they would be on a better day. If you haven't been working with our team before and you do have questions or concerns about movement and activity, then please discuss these with your GP or your doctor before you start a new movement routine. If you're doing these movements in hospital, it might be important to consider any drips or drains or any other types of treatment that might influence your movement on this particular day. And again, if you have questions or concerns about how you can helpfully move during this particular hospital stay, do discuss that with your team. So we'll make a start and we'll think first of all about bringing a little bit of movement to the hands. And we're just going to loosely clench your fist and extend through the hands. And just gently bringing a little bit of movement to the hands and increasing blood flow into the hands and the arms. You can do a similar movement with your feet, contracting, tightening up through your toes, curling your toes under, and then flexing, straightening your toes out. And again, this will just increase a little bit of blood flow to the feet. So we'll pause on that movement and then we'll think about bringing more of a circular turning movement to the wrists. Just moving at the speed that feels helpful and comfortable for you today. You can move in one direction and then the other. You may notice that you have much more movement on one side than the other. That's fine. At the moment, it might feel more helpful to move one hand and then the other hand, and that's also absolutely fine. Just do what feels helpful for you. We'll then think about a circular motion with the feet, the ankles. So just turning, moving the ankles and the feet round in a circular motion. Maybe noticing some clicks or clunks. Our joints can be very noisy when we haven't been moving them so much. Knowing that that's really normal. And just letting those noises pass as you continue with movement that feels helpful for you. And then we'll pause. So the next movement that we'll do is bringing a little bit more movement to the knee and the hip by drawing the heel along the bed towards your bottom. You can pause there for a moment and then think about lengthening the leg back out again. Do a similar movement on the other side, but being aware that your range of movement might be different on this side and that that's absolutely fine. You can choose how many times you think it feels helpful to repeat these movements. And it may be that you want to do 1 or 2 repetitions at a time and then do the whole sequence a few times during the day. When you feel that you've done enough of that movement, we'll think about moving the leg out across the bed. So this is quite nice for bringing a little bit of movement to the hip. Just mobilising the hip as we slide the leg out across the bed and then draw it back in again. Also using the muscles in the thigh a little bit to control that movement. Similar movement on the other side. Again, being aware that this side might feel easier or harder, and the movement you can achieve might be larger or smaller, and that's absolutely fine. Just doing what feels helpful for this particular part of the body. When you've done enough of that movement, again, just giving yourself a little pause. So we'll continue moving up through the body and we'll think a little bit about moving the bottom of the back now. And we'll think about turning towards one side. So you might like to sit away from the back of the bed or the pillows a little bit to do this. And you're just noticing movement around the hips and the lower back as you rotate towards one side. Pausing there for a moment, moving back towards the centre, and a similar movement to the other side. Noticing that you can continue to breathe comfortably as you hold this movement. If you notice that you're holding your breath or clenching or tensing, you've probably moved a little bit further than it's helpful to today. You should be able to feel relaxed and comfortable. Smile and breathe while you're holding the movements. Just repeat that again to this side. And when you feel that you've done enough for now, coming back towards the centre. So then we'll bring a little bit of movement to the shoulders, and we'll think about circling the shoulders. You can do this starting in either direction, moving the shoulders forwards or backwards. Do a few repetitions in one direction, and then maybe see how it feels to move the shoulders in the other direction. And if it feels more comfortable for you, you could obviously do that one shoulder at a time. And again, being aware that you might have more or less movement on one side than the other, and just doing what feels helpful on each side. So we'll pause that movement, and the next movement that we'll think about is just curving through the back and bringing a little bit of movement into the arms. So we're just going to smoothly round the back, just finding the point that it feels helpful for you to move to today. It might be that your movement's quite a bit smaller than this. That's absolutely fine. Just bringing a little bit of curve to the back and the neck and rounding the arms in front of you if you can. And then we'll think about lengthening up through the back, and if you've got room, just thinking about arching back slightly, maybe opening up across the front of the chest and opening out through the arms. If you would like to, you could think about repeating that movement, taking a breath here, and then extending up, lengthening through the back and the arms, and then coming back to your comfortable rest position. And then finally, we'll just think about bringing a little bit of movement to the neck, which can get quite stiff if we're sitting and still for quite a long time. So first of all, we'll just think about bringing the chin towards the chest, pausing here, just at the point that it feels helpful to. And then we'll slowly move our gaze up and tilt the head back again to the point that it feels helpful to pause, just looking up towards the ceiling. You can repeat that movement if it feels helpful, or you might like to think about moving the head in another direction, so letting the ear come down towards the shoulders, probably feeling a lengthening or a stretching sensation down this side. And then moving the head back towards the middle and lengthening through the other side of the head and the neck. And finally, you can think about turning the head in one direction, just moving to the point that it feels helpful to, and then turning in the other direction. And back to the centre. So as I said, you can work out yourself the number of repetitions of each movement that feels helpful, and then try to think about doing these things little and often through your day, and that will all help your body to be better prepared for getting moving again when you're feeling better.